What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of K Cards Baseball. Thanks for joining me tonight on this lovely evening, wherever you may be. As you can tell, I am not in my normal studio at home. I'm actually up in Duluth, Minnesota for work. I will be back at home tomorrow, but I wanted to go ahead and make this video tonight and get this out to you guys in a timely fashion tomorrow so that you guys can check it out. I have a special treat for you guys tonight. We are going to be talking these Milton Bradley cards. They are from 1969 Milton Bradley game, and it is a different set than what you would normally expect in the tops, in that these cards are a little bit more rare because they were a game piece. And because they were a game piece, they were also used quite a bit. You can see here on this Jim Cott, for example, you can see a big crease across the middle of it. This Rodney Carew card is very beat up. You can see all the creases, and it's pretty poor condition. So these cards were used. Quite oftentimes they're going to have perforations on the edges because these cards basically came in a sheet in the game. And what you did when you got the game is you broke the cards apart, ripped them apart, and that's why a lot of these cards will have perforations on the corners or on the sides of the card, top of the card, whatever the case may be. This person that had these cards before me was most likely a Minnesota Twin fan. None of these Twins players are even really in saleable condition. If one of you guys want to offer me literally $2 for these cards, for these 4 cards, I would definitely take it, most likely. But so I just don't feel right selling them in the condition that they're in. I mean, look at this Tony Oliva. It's got a big crease across the middle of it, so really not sellable. However, the good news is we do have these cards that are very sellable. They are in really good condition. These are all going to be Hall of Fame cards, and we're going to talk about the condition of each one. First up, for example, we do have Ron Santo. As you can see on the surface, there is no creases on this particular card at all. You can see some perforations on the left-hand side of the card and some on the top of the card there. Again, that is perfectly normal for these cards. The back of this card is in really nice condition as well. So this card, I would call it in very good to excellent, or probably excellent condition, to be honest with you. And I will sell this card for $4. These cards, again, are going to be a little bit rarer than the normal Topps cards, so but still they're pretty affordable set and pretty affordable cards. I did at one time have the Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and Johnny Bench card and Pete Rose. I did sell those cards earlier in the year. So these are the Hall of Famers that are left over. Still a pretty good set and still pretty good cards to go ahead and sell. Next up is Orlando Cepeda. This card is actually centered very well, left to right and also top to bottom, but it does have the perforations along the edges and a little bit up here in the upper right hand corner. The back is in very good condition. Again, the centering on most of these cards are actually going to be pretty decent. The corners are actually pretty decent as well. So this card I will sell for $5 when it goes up for auction later on this week. Again, just as a disclaimer, I don't have any of these cards in plastic sleeves. They will be going in sleeves after this video and after I do take pictures of them in preparation for them to go up to auction. Next up, we have Fergie Jenkins, and this card again is going to be centered very well, left to right and also top to bottom. You don't see any logos on their hats either, or if there's some that you might show their uniforms, you won't see any logos on their uniforms, because this, I don't believe, was an officially licensed Major League Baseball product. So that is why you're not going to see any of the logos. The back of this card is in very good condition. Again, the centering is really nice, left to right and top to bottom. The centering on these cards, I found, are actually quite a bit better than what you're going to find on your average everyday Topps card. If you look at, for example, this Dave Parker 1974 Parker, you can see how miscut the thing is. You didn't really have that with these Milton Bradley cards. I don't know why, but the centering for these cards is generally going to be in really good shape. This one I would call it in excellent plus condition, maybe even better than that. But again, it does have some perforations on top. So this card will sell for $5. Next up, we have Phil Niekro. This is one that is off-center a little bit. I would call it 80-20 on left to right. Top to bottom is actually pretty decent. It does have some perforations on the top. Again, that really doesn't drop the value very much. The back is in really good condition. So this card I will sell for $4 on the Phil Niekro. Maybe $3, since he's kind of a minor Hall of Famer. Next up is Jim Catfish Hunter. You can see one small crease right there on the H under the Hunter. And there is a slight little wrinkle right across the middle. I don't know if I can sell this card. I'll probably throw it there for $1 and see if someone will bite on it. It's not nearly as badly creased as the Minnesota Twins cards, but it does have some minor flaws on it. Again, I'll throw it out there at $1, and we will see if we can go ahead and move it. Next up, it's kind of funny to see him actually without his usual mustache that he had during most of his career. Next up is Frank Robinson. This card I'm going to sell for $2. You do see a crease across the middle of the card, right there. I didn't notice that at first, but anyways, the centering on this card is 90-10. Top to bottom is actually probably 70-30. The back is in really nice shape, and the crease doesn't go all the way to the back. It just is a slight wrinkle there on the front of the card across the middle. But I will sell this card at $2, which is a pretty good price for a Frank Robinson Hall of Famer card. Next up, we have Billy Williams. No creases on this card at all. The centering is actually quite nice on this card. I would probably call it maybe even 50-50 on the left or right. Top to bottom, I'd probably call it 60-40. Some slight perforations on the edges. The back is in really nice shape, so I will sell this card for $5. Next up, we have Hoyt Wilhelm. Again, a non-creased card. Centering on this card is going to be 70-30 on the left or right. Top to bottom, I call it 50-50 actually, not too bad. The back is in pretty decent shape, or is in really good shape actually. So I would put this card in excellent condition, and I will sell it for $5 on the Hoyt Wilhelm. Rico Petrocelli. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I remember him playing when I was a kid. I think they pronounce it Petrocelli. Anyways, again, the card does not have any sort of creases on it at all. Centering on the left to right, I call it 60-40, maybe even 55-45. Top to bottom, I'd probably call it 50-50. The back of the card is in a really nice shape, so this card I will sell at $4 on the Rico Petrocelli. The last up card that we have is Bill Mazeroski. There is a crease or a wrinkle, I wouldn't even call it a crease, along the top of the card. It is a little bit off center, obviously. I'd probably call it 90-10, left to right. Top to bottom actually isn't too bad. The back is in really nice shape, but we just have this wrinkle across the top of the card. It doesn't go all the way through the card to the back at all. So I would sell this card at $2. So that is what we have for those cards. I also thought I would let you guys know that besides the Hall of Famers that did pull out of the stack, as you can see, I do have several more of the Milton Bradley cards from 1969. So if any of you guys are interested in any particular cards, you can let me know down in the comments down below. If you are interested in any particular players, these are going to be mostly just commons. There might be an occasional Hall of Famer or Hall of Very Good, as I say, card in here. I think I did see, for example, a Bud Harrelson. I did see an Al Kaline. I did see a Mickey Lolich card in here. There's Fred Valentine. Zola Versailles, who was a really good player for the Twins for a few years. Didn't quite make the Hall of Fame, though. Wilbur Wood was a good player. And who else do we got here? Frank Closey, who was a manager for the Twins for a long time. That card is actually in really nice condition as well. And Jim Brewer. What else? Hank Allen was a decent player. Of course, Felipe and Jesus Alou. There they are there. Jose Cardinal was a good player for a long time. Paul Casanova was a good player. Ray Culp was a good player. So there's a lot of really good players in here as well. Veda Pinson. Kurt Flood was a great player for a long time. Jerry May, Lee May, right there. And that is it for that stack. I'll kind of run through these a little bit just so you guys can get an idea about what kind of cards are available. If you guys are interested in bulk of these cards, so let's say you want to buy 10 or 15, I will be very generous with you guys as far as the cost of that. If you're interested, Paul Blair with the Orioles was a good player for a long time, for sure. Won a few World Series with the Orioles. There's Denny McLain right there, as a matter of fact. The last guy and the guy that won 35 games. No one will ever get to that level again and win that many games ever. I don't think we'll actually ever see a 20-game winner ever again in baseball. Maury Wills obviously was the stolen base king before Lou Brock came along. Bob Allison, unfortunately, had his career cut short. He was probably my favorite one of my favorite baseball players when I first moved to Minnesota. Roy White. Don Minchner was a good player for quite some time. Let's see what else we got here. I'm going to kind of cruise through these. Luis Tiant. I'm surprised he never made the Hall of Fame. He probably should have. He was a great relief pitcher for a long time. Started out as a starter. He did pitch for the Twins for a while, but probably most known as a Boston Red Sox was where he made most of his fame, was with them. But I'm always surprised that he didn't make the Hall of Fame at all. Bubba Morton. Manny Mota, I remember him with the Dodgers. Was a good player for quite some time as well. Camilo Pascual was a really good player. Joe Pepitone. And who else do we have here? I just kind of like cruising through these. Phil Roof. And who else do we got? Campy Campaneris. And Don Walk. Just a couple more left. There's Mickey Lolich on the back there. There's Mickey Lolich card. This one is creased across the bottom. So that's why I didn't throw that one up there, and he's not a Hall of Famer at all. But a great player for a long time. Del Unser was a good player. Yeah, Mickey Lolich was quite the character for some time, primarily with the Detroit Tigers, was Mickey Lolich. Really dating myself, Frank Howard was a heck of a first baseman for the Washington Senators for quite some time. Great player there. Had a lot of power. Big man. Really big man. Dick Hauser. Better known as a manager than he was as a baseball player. He won a World Series. I think it was 1985 with the Kansas City Royals. But was a longtime manager of the Royals as well. And I think he might have actually gotten the Hall of Fame as a manager. Jim Perry, brother of Gaylord Perry, had a really good career for a long time as well, but didn't make the Hall of Fame like his brother. I think they actually have more wins together than any other brothers in the history of Major League Baseball. Rick Monday, Rusty Staub, Cesar Tovar, and that is pretty much about it. Yeah, I kind of like cruising through those cards, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that a little bit. Anyways, guys, like I said earlier, hit that like and subscribe. It would help me out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it if you do like these videos. If you guys want to see any particular vintage content at all, please let me know. I would be interested in hear what you guys have to say as far as content related ideas for the channel as it relates to vintage. That is all I got for you guys tonight. Be safe and happy collecting.